Hello all my friends, welcome back or welcome to the channel. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. I'm T and this is my channel Crumpus Tea and Sewing. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my review of the Cheetah knit wrap dress by Style Art. This is a pattern that I received in a giveaway this past spring. So I participated in a giveaway from Sew Over 50 and I won a free pattern from Style Art. And Crystal of Crystal Sews and Stuff also participated in this same giveaway, and she won a pattern from Style Art as well. So we decided to do a collaboration, get together, pick the Cheetah knit wrap dress, and to do this collaboration for you all. So as you can see, I made two dresses out of this particular pattern. This is a pattern that calls for knit fabrics such as cotton knits and slinky knits, but I also made something from a double brush knit, and I'll tell you all of the sizing and all that other stuff here in a moment. But let me tell you about the fabric that I chose. So this particular fabric is a cotton jersey fabric, and I purchased this one from fabricmartfabrics.com about 2 years ago, and I purchased about 4 or 5 yards of it because anytime I decide to work with stripes, I get extra fabric so that I can kind of play with it. But this particular pattern actually has directions and on the actual pattern pieces on how you can actually lay your pattern pieces down on your stripe fabric to get these different looks to where you don't even have to match the stripes. And so I decided to go ahead and play with that and to do this because I didn't want to do any matching. So let's talk about the size that I chose and also what I did with this particular garment. So when I won this pattern, I actually contacted Bridget and she asked me to send over my measurements for my bust, my hips, and my waist. And based on those measurements, she decided to send me a size 12. Now, their size 12 actually equates to a size 10. Their sizing is a little bit different than over here in the United States. I'll put a little diagram up here so that you can actually see the different sizes and how they correspond with US sizes, European sizes, and etc. But so I decided to go ahead and go with that since that's what she sent me, and I didn't do any changes to the original pattern. So I decided to just go ahead and go with that size without altering the pattern. So let me tell you what that size equated to. So that size is, so size 10 is 36.5 inches for the bust, 30 inches for the waist, and 38 inches for the hips. So that's for this garment. And I have found that it actually worked really well. I was surprised. I thought that I was going to need to do some additional alterations and adjustments, but I did not. I didn't have to do any kind of forward shoulder adjustment or sloping shoulder adjustment, which is something that I normally have to do. But as you can see, this pattern features dolman sleeves. And so dolman sleeves actually fit me quite better than set-in sleeves. I just happen to not really like them as much. I prefer to have the set-in sleeves, but they generally fit me so much better. And I usually don't have to do any adjustments there. And I didn't have to do any adjustments for the sleeve. The waistline actually sits right at my waist, so I didn't have to do any adjustments to that either. The hip line, as you can see here, the pattern has a curve on the hip, so it's not just a straight flat pattern. It does have some curvature on the hip area, and so you have to make sure that your hips actually match where that curve sits at. And I didn't have to do any adjustments there either. The pattern has a 1-inch hem allowance for the skirt, and so I followed the directions for that, as well as a hem for the overskirt. So the pattern also features an overskirt. So I don't know if you can see this or not, but I'll go ahead and pop a image or a video here so you can actually see what the overskirt looks like. The bodice part of it is a faux wrap bodice, and it has a V-shaped neckline. So I really love this garment. I know it looks kind of like just like a plain garment, but there's so much that you can do with this, especially if you're using stripe. It's a simple pattern, easy for beginners, but with the right type of fabric and creativity, you can actually make this into a wonderful statement piece. I really do believe that. The garment calls for 2 notions. One is optional. So the first one it calls for is a jelly tape, and that jelly tape is going to be sewn at the neckline of the right and the left bodice in order to give your neckline some stability. And then after you sew that jelly tape onto the raw edge piece, you're going to flip it inward and then top stitch it down. Well, I decided not to do that. Instead, I decided to create facing pieces for mine. So again, stay tuned to the end of the video, and then you can actually see how I created the facing pieces for this particular garment. Now, this particular pattern does not come with facings, so I had to create them, and I created them out of the guide that they provided in the pattern. And so I'll show you that as well at the end of the video. So so that's all that I did with this. So I didn't make any changes at all. I did not change the bust. I did not change the arms. I did not do any adjustments to the sleeve or shoulders. I didn't do any adjustments to the waist. No adjustments were made with this. And I am so pleased to tell you that straight off of the off the printer, this particular garment fits me so wonderfully. Like, I mean, almost custom made. And I'm just so pleased with this garment and how it fits. So I'm going to go ahead and put some pictures up here of this particular piece so you can see what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, I neglected to get pictures of the back, so I'm going to show you what the back looks like as well. But this particular garment just fits so well. Like, I have no sway back issues. I have no pulling, no bust issues, none of that. It's just amazing. I love this pattern. I mean, for coming straight off of the printer, it's just an amazing pattern. Speaking of printing, so the options that you have for this pattern, you can buy it as a PDF file. And if you buy it as a PDF file, you get a copy shop version, but you also get an A4 version, so that you can actually print at home as well. I decided to just go ahead and send mine to the copy shop because at the time that I actually received the pattern, I had a lot of files that I was already sending to the copy shop. And so I sent it to the copy shop, and it was printed out for like $1.40, I believe, with a coupon. It was something ridiculously cheap. So I decided to just go ahead and go that route. All right, so let's talk about this dress. This dress was made out of a double brush knit. The fabric came from Joann Fabrics. It's a cheetah print fabric, and it came from Joann's Ember collection. Now, I purchased this fabric almost 2 years ago, so I doubt that they even have this in stores. If they did have it, it would definitely be in the clearance section. But I'm willing to say that they don't have it. I actually love this fabric. I did not do the overskirt for this particular piece because I thought that it would be a little bit too much and the overskirt would get lost in all the details of the cheetah print. So I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but this has an overskirt as well. With this particular overskirt, I made a mistake and I laid the pattern pieces out on a diagonal instead of, I can't remember exactly which way I was supposed to lay it, but I laid it the wrong way. But it is just, you can't tell because you have all these different designs with the stripes, you know, all these different directions and stuff with the stripes that it looks intentional. And so this overskirt part was not intentional. I realized that I made a mistake. And I'll pop a picture up here of what it's supposed to look like based off of the clip art, but I still actually like it the way that it is. And with the back of the garment, the stripes are supposed to be horizontal, but I decided to lay my pattern pieces so that I can get a vertical layout for the back. Now back to this cheetah print. Double brush knit, purchased from Joann Fabrics, no longer available, but it's a really beautiful print. It has a soft hand to it, and it has a really good amount of recovery to it, as most double brush knits do. This particular fabric, because it is a little bit more stable than this cotton jersey, and the pattern calls for slinky knits and cotton jersey knits. The double brush knit, I did have to grade up a size. So I graded up the pattern in the hips and the waist about 1/2 inch. With this particular garment, I did not mess with the waistline, didn't mess with the hips, didn't mess with the shoulders or the bust area. So everything was the same. The only thing that I changed was the size of the garment. So I just graded up the size on the side seams, and that was it. And yeah, those are all the changes that I made to this garment. So that wraps up my review for the Tia Knit Wrap Dress by Style Arc. I had fun making this pattern. It's relatively inexpensive. You can purchase this over on their website. I'll put that in the description box below. I believe it's like 15 Australian dollars or 11 US dollars. And I'll put all of the different currencies that they accept and how much they go for each currency up here or in the description box below. Yeah, I really highly recommend this particular pattern. It's easy and it's for sewists of all skill levels. I think it takes maybe 1 to 3 hours to sew it up. It just took me a little longer because I was recording as I was actually sewing the garment. And so both of these garments took me about 3 or 4 days to sew because I kept stopping, putting it on hold, and then also like I said, recording. But it is a relatively easy pattern to sew, and I have no doubt that you can get this finished within at least 3 hours. So yeah, that's my review. Stay tuned. Like I said, here I'm gonna go ahead and insert a clip of my progress of putting the neckband on, creating the neck facings for the actual garment, and also stabilizing it as well. And in terms of stabilizers, I actually used a stabilizer that is actually meant for knit fabrics. I purchased this from Joann Fabrics. It was relatively inexpensive, and it's really easy to use. And I'll also put that in the description box below as well. All right, thank you so much for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you all next week. Bye. So this is piece 6 and 7, which are the guides for the front and the back neckline of the garment, to just give you an idea of where your stitching line would be. And so as you can see, If you were to use these two pieces as facings, they would not be equal in width here. So you will need to add about, that's probably between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch here. Let's see here. So yeah, that's how much you would need to add in order to get those pieces to align, so you can make a front and back facing piece for the garment. And so that's basically what I did. I didn't realize that the front and the back of these two pieces didn't match the first time, and so there is a little bit of difference on my first mock-up. However, for the second attempt, I do plan to redraft these pieces, including that adjustment there, and then I can go ahead and have a better fitting facing for my garment. So I just wanted to go ahead and share that tip, because I do think that applying a facing of this kind is a little bit better. It gives you a little bit more stability than just applying a row of gel tape, in my opinion.